Good morning, guys. Welcome back to the channel. We're back here at what is becoming fast becoming our private gaming centre at Walkstorm War Games. We've got myself here and Toby playing against Sam. We're doing a bit of a not quite Indomitus battle report for you this morning. It's a really hot and humid day here. Weather may or may not be on our side. We've both of us not. Well, I've got my Indomitus stuff painted now. Sam's been done over by the release date.
Yes, it came out the day before I went back to work off furlough, so nice.
So 3 months of doing nothing, 4 months of doing nothing, and then the day before you get Indomitus.
Yeah.
So we'll be using what Ultramarines, you are bringing Ultramarines today, I'm bringing Necrons. We're bringing what Ultramarines you've got, plus some of the stuff you have managed to get painted. I've toned back, I haven't got all the Indomitus units, I've just got a selection in there. Sam had a brilliant idea of doing a 3-part semi-narrative series for you guys. So we're starting off at 1500 points, building through to 2000 we decide,
yeah.
And then hopefully depending on release dates when things like the Void Dragon and the Silent King get released, we're hoping to do a 3000 point game for you, potentially even bigger depending on what those points come out at, and it gives you an excuse to get them painted. Lots of all that lovely gold trim for you to do. So that's the plan for you guys going forwards. But today we're playing Scorched Earth, which is mission 12 from the Grand Tournament Pack 2020. Sorry guys, I'm reading it off the paper in front of me. Basically you can go through and one of the unique secondary is to be able to destroy an objective in your opponent's deployment zone and get lots of points from there. That's pretty much it, guys. So we'll go over to the we'll go over to the army lists, then we're back to your deployment on the table, and we'll run through what secondaries we've picked. See you in a minute. Okay then guys, so we have my Necron army. Today running Mefrit Dynasty. Obviously we're still on the codex codes rather than what we've seen on the leaks. So that's basically at half range. We're getting extra AP on weapons, extra point AP. So starting off we have the HQs. We have my Overlord. I'm running the codex version of the Overlord just to get the resurrection orb, in all honesty. He's taking the artifact of the Void Reaper to give him a bit more damage in combat, and Immortal Pride as his Warlord trait. So that allows me basically to deny one psychic power and grant immunity to morale in a bubble around him. Next to him we have a Cryptek. He is running with the Chronometron for a 5+ invuln against ranged weapons, and again the bubble around him. I've paid for a second relic on him for the lightning field. Basically gives him a 4 invuln and a bit of mortal wound output in close combat, but I find my Crypteks die too fast, so an invuln is much useful to him. And he's got 2 Cryptophiles to run around him. I basically have the points to spend on them, so the 2 little dudes behind him. They have the ability to use an aura to make sure if Sam has any snipers, which I don't think he does in his list, they can't shoot him, but also something else to go and do actions, that sort of thing. The final HQ is the Royal Warden, so we're one of the new Indomitus models. He is quite useful as a buffing character, allows you to fall back and shoot. He's got a bit of bumped up Gauss cannon, can't remember what it's called, Gauss blaster. And I've also made another relic, the Veil of Darkness, which allows for the teleport shenanigans on him. We then have the 3 troops taking in the battalion, running a battalion, I should have said. We have a 10-man blob of Immortals with Tesla Carbines. We have a 20-man warrior blob with Gauss Flayers and a 20-man warrior blob with Gauss Reapers. So again, some of the new Indomitus models there, just showing off a little bit of what we've done. I had to bring some of the new stuff in there, really, to be honest with you guys. In the elite slot, we have a squad of 3 Scorpec Destroyers with a bit of close combat punch. Again, showing off some new models. I haven't taken the plasma sight on them, I just didn't have the points to squeeze him in. Fast attack wise, we have 2 unit 6-man blobs of Scarabs. Again, using the new Indomitus ones because they're so cute compared to the old ones, so just had to run those. And behind them, in heavy support, a Tomb Spider. Again, reasonably cheap, not quite the most competitive choice, but I love the model, and if you're running Scarabs, they're a reasonably useful thing to run. And then lastly, but not leastly, back to fast attack, we have 3 destroyers at the back there. I was going to bring more of them, but it felt a little bit too overpowered for what Sam was bringing. And the little bits, the 4 little blobs at the back are just some banners because I am terrible at remembering things. So that will hopefully help me remember what I've put banners on objective-wise. That's the list, guys. Obviously very infantry heavy. Idea basically plot up the board in phalanxes. and see if Sam can shift me.
Okay, so here's my 1,500 points of Ultramarines. We're going to be very assaulty usually. I did do the gunline thing, but I'm going to embrace the new edition and hopefully push forward and take objectives. And obviously I've included a few of the new Indomitus models. But to start, we've got the Primaris Lieutenant from Indomitus. He's going to be my Warlord. He has obviously the Neo-Volkite pistol, the Mastercrafted Power Sword, and the Storm Shield, but I'm going to give him the upgrades Imperium Sword and the Shield Eternal, again just on that combat heavy focus, and make sure that he gets into combat. Joining him in the HQ is a Primaris Librarian, so he is going to have Null Zone and Fury of the Ancients. Onto troop choices, I've got one squad of Incursors with a Haywire Mine, 2 squads of Bare Bones Tacticals, and then a squad of Auto Bolt Rifle Intercessors and Stalker Bolt Rifle Intercessors. Nothing special about any of them. As I said, it's all about looking at how to score objectives in 9th edition. Moving on to elites, I've got the Blade Guard Ancient, obviously his loadout from Indomitus. And I'm also throwing in 3 of the Blade Guard veterans to join the lieutenant wherever he treads on the battlefield. The final elite choice is an old school dreadnought. He has got a twin linked las cannon, obviously a dreadnought fist, and the heavy flamer. To the left of that, we've got our first heavy support choice, which is 5 Heavy Plasma Incinerator Hellblasters. In the middle there, we've got 5 Devastators. So one has a las cannon, there's a missile launcher, a plasma cannon, and a heavy bolter. For fast attack choice, I've got 3 Inceptors with plasma exterminators, and got a drop pod at the back. I'm undecided at the moment what I'm going to put in it, but it's there. As I said, this list is a combination of units I would not really use, but it fits in with the narrative that we've got for this battle. So all of the white helmeted veterans in my squads are acting as sergeants. They're being given an opportunity to lead a combat squad and to sort of prove their worth on their way to becoming a sergeant for the Ultramarines. And so that's it. On to the map and deployment.
Okay then guys, so the armies are deployed. As you can see, we've got the Ultramarines on the wall closest to me as I'm stood, and then Sam pans around, you'll see the Necrons. Mission, like we said, is Scorched Earth. There is the standard take and hold progressive section, so hold 1 objective for 5, 2 for 10, hold more for 15 victory points. Secondary wise, Sam has taken domination, thin their ranks, and mental interrogation. I have taken engage on all fronts, raise the banners, and then raise objectives, just to be confusing. The deployment wise, I bubbled up on one side, taking advantage of my auras and abilities. Sam spread a little bit more, as suits the Ultramarines working in more tactically independent units. I rolled off as the defender and chose the deployment zone. Sam obviously then took the attacking side of the mission.
Okay, so we're just going to roll to see who goes first.
This is the option, yep. Okay. I will take the first turn, given that roll of the 4. You can't see, so it's no longer a thing.
No, but I can rapid redeploy, so we'll come back after I've rapid redeployed.
Fair enough.
Okay, so I did a slight redeploy. I moved the auto bolt rifle guys from there to within this crater. I moved my Inceptors out of the way over here. But other than that, I actually decided not to move all that much. So now it's on to Toby's movement phase, unless he's got shenanigans.
No, only Smurf gets shenanigans at this stage.
Alrighty, so on to the movement phase then.
So, end of the Necron movement phase. We'll just quickly say, when we get to it, where we've all done went. Destroyers move around here to get line of sight and range on the Hellblasters. The scarabs in this ruin stayed still, and the warrior blob moved around just to be able to get on to raise the banner on this objective here. Moving across the board, everything's moved forwards. The Scorpex has started raising the banner on the objective next to the Overlord. Everything else is moving forwards, starting to put pressure on that side of the table. And again, with the warriors on the far side there, they've again started pushing forwards, just trying to get range onto the Incurs, I believe it is, in the ruins just to the left there. Everything else is basically consolidated to start holding objectives and start racking up those points. We'll come back to you if anything interesting happens in the shooting phase. Okay, so the fuselage's begun. The Necron warriors in front there have sniped an Incursor, in the ruins there. I will get the names right eventually, guys. Just some really unlucky rolling on Sam's behalf. Only 2 wounds went through and he failed by farmer saves. Just the way the dice go. The working across the board, the Scorpex have got their banner up, coming back in the middle. Obviously, that knows it's scoring points yet. We'll hopefully come and score next turn. On the far side of the table, the destroyers did what they did best. The destroyers then have wiped out all but one of the Hellblasters. Just some really, again, lucky rolling. They used Talent Annihilation, Modified Destruction, whichever the reroll everything stratagem is for a CP. And then, like I said, the banners have gone up, as we said in the movement phase, for the Warriors. That is the end of my turn. I have scored the grand total of 0 victory points. We'll see what Sam does in his movement phase.
Okay, so back after Ultramarines movement, I advanced the Plasma Inceptors to be within this ruin, but they're also just within range of those boys over there. These chaps have moved and are now within 3 inches of objective number 2. I kept the tactical squad stationary, as well as the librarian for now, and we've got the Dreadnought has moved ever so slightly to the right. Stalkers have remained on top. All of these boys, none of them have advanced, but they're now all out of the crater and over here. Big news, the drop pod came down. We have disembarked the 5 Devastator Marines that were inside. And then these 2 units. This unit shifted slightly, they're still within range of the objective, and this chap up here is just going to remain stationary so that he doesn't get a -1 to hit for moving. So we'll do Psychic phase. Okay, so nothing really to do in the Psychic phase this turn. Obviously it's one of my secondaries, so we'll get around to doing some shenanigans at some point. So we're just going to move on to the shooting phase. Catch you in a minute. Okay, so shooting phase over for the Ultramarines. A combination of fire from these chaps and these chaps have reduced the 20-man blob over here to 3. And that was also including the Stalkerbite rifles here. The Dreadnought here managed to pick off one of the boys, the Scorpec boys over there. And then Assorted Fire over here has taken 2 guys off of this squad and 2 of the destroyers over here.
Sam rolled really unluckily, guys. It's just a tale of unfortunate dice.
I think some dice are going to go in the melting pot soon, but no worries. What we'll do?
Morale phase now as one camera.
Yeah, we'll do morale, and we may as well do reanimation on camera.
I'll need to grab a lot of dice for that, so we'll just do morale. Now.
Okay,
We'll
all right.
So the Warrior squad at the back there, basically I needed 1, otherwise we're failing morale. Sorry, Sam.
Yeah, it's just one of those days.
So they pass morale automatically on that one. Everything else with leadership 10 across the board is fine. One of the few armies with better leadership than the Smurfs, the Ultramarines.
So I've actually realised I should have done morale on the Hellblaster. Because he lost 4 dudes, leadership 9, so on a 6 I could have failed it. No, okay, so that is fine.
And you scored 5 victory points.
Victory points, yeah. So I control 4 domination. I score 4 objectives for domination, so that's 2 points.
And then you've got points towards fin the ranks, which yes, at the end of the game, but we're just keeping tally of it now because otherwise it becomes horrendously complicated with reanimation protocols.
So I killed 22 units this turn, so that's 2 points so far. Now we're going to go on to Necron turn 2.
Okay, so Necron pre-command phase, command phase, and movement phase completed. The way the game's in that funny spot at the moment. Warriors reanimated 4 of themselves, their number, and moved forwards, heading in towards Mefrit half range, and so on and so forth. The Immortals had my will be done on them from the Overlord, and advanced forwards. Actually, they could move. I am going to go because they advance 1 inch further with my will be done, so I need to move them forward 1 inch. So that we're going to get them on that objective. That's me half remembering Necron rules, guys. It's been a while. Cryptex moved up, Overlords moved up, Scorpex has moved up. Scarabs have jumped over the containers to hold that primary objective, and Boris, their friendly spider, has moved along with them as well, just to maintain any healing capacity that he's got. I can't remember what it's called. On the far side of the table here, again, Scarabs in this big ruin, they have stayed put to hold the primary objective, whilst the Warriors, with their banner now raised, are starting to advance round to hopefully put some firepower, depending on ranges, with their silly 14-inch range guns, onto the Devastator squad. Destroyers have moved forward, trying to get me onto multiple, or many more, cover quarters for engaging all fronts, and obviously picking targets for their big guns. One of the destroyers, as you'll see, has reanimated, and that's about it, guys. And one more, yeah, I think that's it. So we'll do the shooting phase, as we don't believe in psychic, and we'll come back to you when anything interesting happens. Okay, guys, so Necron shooting phase complete. The Warriors deleted a fair few of the Incursors, 2 I think in the end, with their short range firepower with Mefrit. The Immortals then opened up on the Inceptors, using Solar Pulse stratagem to remove any benefit of cover. That is one of the rare ones that allows you to remove any benefit of cover. I did forget about the half range on some of them, so we just played it as in none of them had the -1, so Sam lost 1 Inceptor there. The rest of the force obviously moving up behind the support, and then over on this side, right hand side of the battlefield, the Warriors and the Destroyers combined to eliminate the Devastator squad, and the Royal Warden took some wounds off of the drop pod just because it was the only target he could see. So what we're going to do now is some charges. We're going to start off with the Warriors into the drop pod. I'm assuming Sam are not going to pay CP to Overwatch for Stormbolter, so we'll see what they get. A 9, they might even make that on a 9. They do, so they will be going into there. That will then, the other charge we got is on the far side of the table. The Destroyers, not Destroyers, they're not Destroyers at all, they're Warriors, are going to charge into the Incursors, simply because the Immortals advanced. So what do we get there? On 11, they are most likely in. Right guys, we'll move those in, do the combat, and come back to you unless anything spectacular happens.
Okay, so Ultramarines turn 2 movement. I fell back and disengaged with these chaps here. I've got my CP back, so I'm on 3 CP left. Fell back and disengaged over here. The Assault Boys moved out. The Stalker bolt rifles have remained stationary. Tactical Marines have moved out. The Dreadnought and Librarian have moved out, still within 3 inches of the objective. Over here, the Blob has moved to the right because no one's going to win that combat over there, so every turn Toby has that objective, so I need to rid him of that. Tactical Marines have moved slightly out just so a few of them can shoot, and the Howl Blast on top has remained stationary. So we're now going to move on to turn 3 Ultramarine shooting, but first I'll just do the Psychic phase. Okay, so onto the Psychic phase now. The Librarian's going to do Psychic Interrogation for my objectives into him. I need a walk charge value of 4. I get 7.
I will obviously attempt to deny that with a Mortal Pride from the Overlord. I do indeed shut down that secondary.
Okay, so onto shooting now for Ultramarines. Okay, so Ultramarines shooting over for turn 2. Picked off a few Necron Warriors and Immortals over here, so we've got 2 left in this squad and 3 left in this squad. And over here we managed to take 1, the Stormbolter from the drop pod, managed to get rid of a Necron Warrior, and then combined arms from across the board, took out the 2 Destroyers on this flank. So now we're going to move on to the charge phase. Okay, so this is the combat phase over. We did. In fact, we've ended the whole turn. So the two chaps over here only managed to kill one more.
Two warriors, I think, on that one.
They killed just the one.
Okay, so they killed one warrior there.
So they managed to take out 4 in the previous turn, and it's just 2. So that's obviously a bit frustrating. Failed charges over here means that those immortals are still around.
Yeah, and the immortals killed one tactical marine in Overwatch.
Yes, they did. And then over here, the squad got in, but a tactical marine fell, and I think 3 got killed by the boys over here.
4 of them died in total this turn, taking a wound from a drop pod and killed a tactical marine.
So now we're going to, and then morale phase. Toby passes everything.
Where there's an issue, I'm within a multiplied range, so that's not an issue in terms of that side of things.
And these guys didn't lose enough this turn.
With the Malesia 10, that's not a problem. Sam is currently on 14 points at the end of his turn to my 12. So still really close, really low scoring actually. I don't think we both picked particularly good secondaries, but we'll see how that goes. And we'll go into my turn 4. It's my turn 3. Now, guys. Okay, so that's the end of the Necron movement phase. The warriors that were in combat with the Incursors have fallen back just to get themselves into table quarters and also free up the Incursors as targets. The warriors had a few I think maybe 3 reanimated. I actually reanimated 9, but could only get 3 of them back in within the reanimation rules. 4 of the mortals came back, rebolstering that squad. They've moved forwards. Them and the Scorpex had my will be done put on them. The Scorpex have jumped over that fuel line there. The rest of the blob in the middle have moved up. The Scarabs have done what the Scarabs have been doing all game and pointing at the back holding objectives for me. And then the main move was over by the drop pod in this corner. The Royal Warden activated my will be done, not my will be done, that's the wrong thing. Activated the Veil of Darkness and teleported the Gorse Reaper, I think it's called. More warriors out of combat over here. Yes, leaving the objective, but I want to see what these guys can do, and it's a bit of fun at this point, and see what we can do. Try and shred some of the stuff on this side of the board, and we'll see how we go. And we still have the Scarabs loitering themselves in the ruin there. So guys, we'll come back at the end of my shooting phase, unless anything critical happens, and we'll show you what's happened. So guys, end of the Necron shooting phase. On the far side there, the mortals killed one of the Gravis Inceptors, taking the sergeant down to 1 wound. The Cryptek managed to wound one of the Incursors. Coming further around the board, the warriors then deleted the Intercessor squad, quite important because they were holding the objective underneath this corner of this ruin here. And the Royal Warden finished that squad off, so a bit more there. That's all the shooting I've got left, guys. So, filling in my charge phase, the Scorpex are going to be going into the tactical squad, and possibly the Dreadnought, I haven't decided yet. The Murder Chickens from the Cryptic Tech is going into the Incursors, and the Lord might also be going into combat as well, depending on the Overlord, depending on the range of the rolls and so on and so forth. So we'll do the charge phase rolls, guys, and work that out. Come back to you. Okay, guys. So charge phase came and went. Murder Chickens got into the Cryptofrowls got into the Incursors and shredded them. That's 6 attacks each, is horrific. The Scorpex got into the Dreadnought and Tactical Squad. The Reap Blade promptly cut the Dreadnought in half. The Force Sam unfortunately didn't have any CP left to do any of the protective stratagems there. The Threshers didn't do much, killed 1 tactical marine in the end, so nothing really to report home about there. And that was basically it, guys. The Overlord tried to get into the combat but failed miserably on his charge, and I'd already had to use the reroll to get the destroyers in. And we're just basically consolidating positions around the various objectives and so on and so forth. Sam's got a few plays left, but he is running out of options at this stage, so we'll see what he does at the end of his move phase.
Okay, so after Ultramarines turn 3, I've lost my Librarian in combat. I managed to kill the Overlord, but 2 CP was spent and he was brought back on. He was killed by the Inceptor with the Plasma. He rolled a 1 during his attack, so he died. And then over here, I managed to charge these units into the Necron warriors over here, and scored and wiped them. Unfortunately, the lieutenant couldn't make it in. And then up here, we've got the heavy plasma incinerator. He's just moved back to cap the objective. And over here, 2 bases were removed with this squad, and a tactical was lost. So we've done morale.
Yep.
We just did morale, which
Failed
is
the
how
morale there.
with these guys lost. That was a very unfortunate roll for Toby. So we'll see where we're at with points, and then we'll get back at you.
Hey guys, so end of the Necron turn. We've just done that as a complete summary. There's not much left on the board. We have basically deleted the tactical squad that was on that objective, although the intercessors above are still holding it. Everything else is just moving slowly forwards. We've started raising another banner on the objective by the containers, the cryptofoils. That's roughly what happened on that side of the board. Over here, we killed one blade guard, taking him down to wound, and on the far side, the scarabs didn't go tactical marine, did they? Scarabs tried to eat tactical marine and didn't go tactical marine, and the tactical marines then struck back and did nothing as well. So a bit of a stalemate there. Scores in the end of 43 to myself in that turn, and Sam is about to score a whole heap of points with domination and a vast number of objectives. My silly teleport move may have cost me the game. We'll time it up. We'll see you in a bit.
Okay, so that's the end of Ultramarines turn 4. This squad, through a variety of shots in combat, we dropped down. We've got 1 Necron left over here. Is there any sort of morale? There was 5 taken?
No. No morale to worry about.
Okay, how come?
Oh, it would be. So, sorry.
That's a 10, so that's absolutely fine. So, over here the Royal Warden was deleted from the board, and then these guys are just poking sticks through windows over here, and
avoiding scarabs.
Everyone's slowly dying a horrible slow death over there. Other than that, I think that is everything.
Current score 43 points to Sam, 42 points to me. 44 points to Sam, 43 points to me.
Alright, so on to Necron's turn 5.
Yep. Okay guys, so that's the end of Necron's turn 5, my final turn. The Immortals deleted the Hellblaster up here, which removed Sam from holding that objective. The Scorpex, the Overlord, killed the Intercessor squad holding the objective they were on by the crane, again removing Sam from that objective. Really annoyingly, I didn't quite have the ability to get clear off last turn to get raised, so that's the end, effectively the end of my turn. I've ended up on 57 points. Sam is currently on 44 points, so it's a really close end of game, guys. We'll come back to you once Sam's done his turn, and if there's anything absolutely critical, we'll film that for you as well.
Okay, so that's the end of Ultramarines turn 5. A desperate gambit over here did not pay off, so all these boys charged over here. They actually, these 2 chaps were able to wipe out the Immortals just about and then consolidate into these chaps, but Toby was able to secure the win by killing the Ancient before he could bring any other chaps back. Then over here, they keep nibbling at each other. Another base was taken away. But that is the end of the game. And at 59 to 54.
Plus 10 each for being painted.
Plus 10 each. So 69 to 64, Toby wins. We'll catch you back in a moment for a breakdown.
Right guys, so the end of the game. Close one in the end. Bit disheartening for Sam at times, I think, just the overwhelming number of Necron bodies compared to the Space Marines. Marines proving again that when you get the right units in combat, they're an absolute blender. Those Blade Guard veterans are horrific. I think they've personally deleted 2 big blobs in the end. Yeah, really cool. Gonna have to get them painted up for my salamanders. again, it just the destroyers again when they got into combat did exactly the same against you. It just came down to an early game, I think. Capturing objectives for me, just to take some early sort of raising the banners, that side of things.
No, I mean ultimately, I think it was. There was a lot of things at play here. I mean, I'm not ultimately that familiar with Necrons as well.
No,
so that played out. I did not understand the reanimation protocol as it is in 9th edition. And I think I proved that Ultramarines need to have synergies, they need to have units that complement each other well. As I said in the intro, I sort of took a random bunch of units that I don't really play, and whilst that should have been fun from a narrative aspect, it actually really impacted the quality of my game.
Quite quickly.
Yeah.
It's good. I didn't take anything particularly that strong. I didn't feel I just took a lot of infantry. Mainly because I've spent the last couple of weeks painting up a lot of infantry and just wanted to get them on the table. Some of the new units are quite cool, didn't really make the most of them. The Tomb Spider did actually nothing the entire game. Moved 2 inches the entire game, did nothing. But that was just protecting against things like whirlwinds or any of the non-line of sight marine stuff. I didn't know what Sam was bringing on that side of things when I wrote the list.
To say that this is not my normal list is, I think the two units that I bring normally are the Hellblasters, where there's 10, and Stalker bolt rifles, where there's also 10, and maybe a lieutenant as well. Other than that, these are all pretty much new, never used a drop pod or the Devastators. So it was good to learn what stuff can do. I spent a lot of CP on the Devastators, which I've never really used Hell Fury rounds or flak missiles. Yeah. So that was interesting to discover how potent they can be.
It's a good combination when it works.
Yeah.
I think it's quite interesting that going on the next games. Sam's obviously his Warlord, his lieutenant fell at the end. I like to think that the Overlord next to the destroyers who pull him down managed to rein in that destroyer's instinct to kill everything for 2 seconds, and actually took the lieutenant captive. Some mind shackle scarabs going on to him to try and poise the Ultramarine sneakers out of his head. Yeah. So obviously now Sam's going to have to bring in the big boys to try and rescue this lieutenant before he gives away some secrets of Ultramar to the Necron dynasties emerging under the Silent King. That's how I picture it anyway. We'll develop the narrative a little bit more going forwards.
Yeah, I mean, depending on how salty I still feel about this in like a day's time, maybe there's going to be like 12 aggressors. I don't know. No, I mean, I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't do that.
Right, guys, we're going to wrap it up there. It's been a long morning, and it's getting really hot and sticky here, so we'll leave it there, guys. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. Really helps us out a lot. And check out all of our Instagram pages as well. Hopefully get them linked in for you to see what we're up to in the painting side of things. Cheers, guys, and goodbye.
Bye.